will I come before your throne, humbly seeking, I'm not alone. You're a helper, set my inner being free. Now I pray, let your light shine through me. Let your light shine through me, Yahuwah. Brighten every path I walk. In my heart, let your habit sing. Let your light shine through me. In the darkness, I will stand, guided by your gentle hand. Shine your esteem for all to see. I surrender, let your light shine through me. Let your light shine through me, Yahuwah. Brighten every path I walk. In my heart, let your heart be seen. Let your light shine through me. Oh, Yahuwah, I'm yours completely. Fill me with your ruach so sweetly. Use me as a shining star to show the world how I have a heart. Let your light shine through me, Yahuwah. Brighten every path I walk. In my heart, let your heart be seen. Let your light shine through me. Yes, let your light shine through me. Forevermore, let your habit be free.
Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah, or Elohim. Yahuwah is one, and you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, and with all your being, and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commands hangs all the Torah and the prophets. Hallelujah, hallelujah, ooh-ah. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Glad you're all here, man. Nice to see everybody. Been a while. Been a long week. Oh, I hope everybody's ready and raring to go. Learn more about Yahuwah. I forgot to put my greeting in here, so I guess I should probably do that. Let's see. Shabbat. Shalom. Beloved of Yahuwah. There we go. Bam. There you go. You got it. All right, so we got a pretty interesting study this evening. We're still on this lesson study about light. We've been on for a couple weeks now, and Yahuwah just keeps hammering it. So we can't, we're not going to be getting off of it anytime soon, I don't think, but it just seems to be lingering. So we're going to continue with it and talk more about Yahuwah's light. And that's what we're going to do this evening. And I hope all of you brought your exegesis mindsets and have donned them on to your brain so that we can get a better open-minded conversation and study this evening. Because that's where we want to approach Yahuwah and Scripture. We definitely don't want to approach it with the eigegesis mindset, because that would not be a good way of studying the Scriptures. All right. So before we get started, in case y'all were wondering, I know there was some of you, 40, 50 of you that saw that I came on earlier today. And that wasn't anything but other than a private meeting was what we were trying to do there. So I apologize if I interrupted you. It wasn't meant to attract any attention, but it did. So it was nothing. You can just forget about that. And let's go ahead and continue on today, this evening. So before we get started, let me say hello to a few people in the chat room, and we'll get moving, okay? All right. Miss Sandra Brunston. Glad you're here, Sister Sandra. Shema. Shema simply means hear in Hebrew. All right. Sister June and Brother Joe Manning are here. Shabbat Shalom, family. June and Joe, love you. Love you, Mark. Thank you. Love you back. And glad you're here. Thanks for coming, June and Joe. Chris Strykowski. Glad you're here, Brother Chris and Sister Amber as well. Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters, with love from Amber and Chris. Glad y'all are here. Sister Peggy Russell, glad you're here. Hope everything's going good up there in Colorado. Shalom, everyone. Glad you're here, Sister Peggy. Brother Lou and Sister Phyllis. Glad you all are here. Hope everything's going well with you in the great state of Kentucky. Shabbat Shalom. We love you. We love you back. Brother Levi Davis. Glad you're here, Brother Levi. Shabbat Shalom, Mishpaka. Glad you're here, Brother Levi. Miss having you on. You're on every week here. I'm not sure why you're not making it to the Shabbat studies on the seventh day like you used to, but maybe you moved or something. I don't know. But anyway, I kind of miss you on there, but glad you're here. Thanks for coming, Brother Levi. Yahuwah's breath, a new beginning. Glad you're here, Raza. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thanks for coming, Sister Raz. Sister Valerie, glad you're here, Sister Valerie. Shabbat Shalom. Brother Jeremiah, glad you're here. Brother Jeremiah, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Trixie J, glad you're here. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thanks for coming, Trixie. Mr. Three Jobs, thanks for coming, Brother John. Glad you're here. Shabbat Shalom, trustworthy. Sharon Sharon, glad you're here, Sister Sharon. Shabbat Shalom. Kim Nicola, glad you're here. Sister Kim, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Sister Rose Wright, glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Shabbat Shalom, Yasharel, Mishpaka. JJ Lot, glad you're here, Sister JJ. Shabbat Shalom, Mishpaka. Love you all. Love you back. Yami and Raul. Glad y'all are here. Sister Yami and Brother Raul. Shalom, familia. Crafted in Gentile. Glad you're here. Shalom, familia. Thanks for coming, Grafted in Gentile. Safani Yahoo. Glad you're here. Shabbat Shalom, family. Thanks for coming. Kate Connell. Glad you're here, Sister Kate. Shabbat Shalom, Mishpaka. Thanks for coming, Kate. Israel Nami, glad you're here. Shabbat Shalom, family. It's day at 10 a.m. here in PNG. Okay, well, I'm glad you're here, man. Thanks for coming. Juanita Phillips, glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Hello, shalom to all. Sherman Dykes, glad you're here, Sherman Dykes. Thanks for coming. Shabbat Shalom, beloved of Yahuwah. Pete Anderson, thanks for coming, Brother Pete. Light manifestation. Shekinah. Light is the esteem of Yahuwah. Praise Yah. Thanks for coming, Brother Pete. Joseph Hessen, thanks for coming, Brother Joseph. Shalom, Mishpaka. Grandma Sunshine in the house. Brother Levi, we all miss you. Thanks for coming, Grandma Sunshine. Soul Music. Thanks for coming, Soul Music. Glad you're here. Shalom. And thanks for everybody incognito that's here this evening studying with us and rejoicing in Yahuwah. We love you, all our incognito people. And it wouldn't be the same without you. So thanks for coming. Appreciate it. And if I missed anybody, man, sorry about that. You know, I didn't do it intentionally. I mean, I've been accused of missing people, but I've never done it intentionally. Because everybody's welcome here on the Netzarim channel. Every time, anytime, and every time that we are broadcasting live from the great state of Texas. So Shabbat Shalom to all. All right, let's go ahead and get started in this evening's study. Okay, so there's been a study done, and the last 4 or 5 years or so, or maybe even 10 years, whatever it's been, but they have found out that there is a flash of light at the moment of conception. And so I want to look at this first and get a good understanding of it. So right off of the get-go, I get to do my most favorite thing in this whole world and share screen with y'all. So here we go. Israel Nami, I'm glad you're here, man. Really am. Stick around, man. Come quite often. We like you being here. Okay, so I'm going to share screen this. And quickly as possible. And we'll just go from there with it. But let me see. I'll just disregard that thing and watch this video real quick. Okay. All right. So let me. Oh, whoops. I'll mess up now. All right. So here we go. Wow. Did everybody see that? In case you blink, let me do it again. It's not that long. Flash of light. Moment of life begins. Sperm meets egg. Wow, huh? Okay. So I thought that was pretty interesting. There's another one here I was watching. I want to show you. Now, of course, science, they claim fireworks at conception. It's a bunch of zinc, when the sperm penetrates, it blows up a bunch of zinc off of the egg, and causes the light because, they act like they know everything, but they don't know anything, do they? Yahuwah laughs at man's wisdom. But there is another one I'd like to show you. This may be it. Let me look and see. Here we go. Amount of zinc released at the time of fertilization should lead to better outcomes. Novitrol. Only mature human eggs release zinc at the time of activation. Next video, the right two eggs are mature. In the final video, zinc spark is imaged at the precise time of fertilization in mouse eggs. Now, these are mice eggs here now. No longer human eggs, but mouse eggs. As soon as the sperm hits the egg, penetrates the egg, it flashes light. Even in mice, not just in humans, even in mice. So, very interesting, right? Okay, I don't want to mess this up. Hang on a minute. Let me make sure I'm doing the right one here. There we go. So, watching this just kind of blows my mind, really. It puts a whole new meaning behind John 1, Yehukanan 1. If you want to go there real quick, Yehukanan 1, verse 4. It says, in him was life, and the life was the light of men. So very interesting, isn't it? So in him was life, and the life, in him was life, and the life was the light of men. Isn't that amazing? And so, obviously, Yahuwah is light, and without his light, nothing can survive. This is what that's telling me. So his light is what gives life to all flesh and to all creatures, really. Really think about it. I mean, even the flesh of mice has to have his light in order to live, to brought into existence. Very powerful, amazing, isn't it? Oh yeah, I forgot about Speedy, man. Thanks for reminding me, John. Brother Speedy, he's coming around. He's still eating pork chops and mice, but he's starting to learn, so he's interested. He's here. Look, he's got his ears open, his eyes open. He's ready to roll. So welcome, Brother Speedy, to the Nazarene channel. Okay, so I'm going to. I don't know how many of you have watched the video of the Close Encounters at Hidden Mountain and Closer Encounters at Hidden Los Lunas, New Mexico. But my wife and I and our family, grandkids, we went on vacation, a mini vacation 3 years ago over to the Covenant Stone in Los Lunas, New Mexico. And we were able to take a bunch of pictures of our little vacation and everything, and turned out to be a phenomenal, just an amazing spiritual journey Yahuwah took us on. And we were able to capture a lot of the spiritual journey that we had taken as a family, a little small family, but just a few of us, just 4 of us went. And in that journey, we had an encounter with light. And it was my wife and my great-granddaughter who actually saw it. I didn't see it, and my grandson didn't see it, but the 2 girls did. And so I'm going to bring this back up because there's been some developments that we never knew or didn't really see before until yesterday, matter of fact. And these things were brought to our attention by my grandson, who is 11, and he detected some things that was quite amazing, really. And so I'm going to go ahead and share this with you. If you can just sit back, put on your exegesis mindsets, and just listen, okay? And I think you're going to be quite surprised here by what I'm getting ready to share with you. Okay, if you want to call me Antichrist or the false prophet or any kind of nasty names, do it at your house. Don't do it in the chat room, because I don't want to hear it, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in there don't want to hear it either. But I will share this because I think it needs to be shared. So where do I begin? Whew. Well, I don't know. Let's go ahead and begin. How about we begin with this picture right here? Since I'm sure most of you probably have watched these videos on Lou White's YouTube channel. If you haven't, go watch them. It's called Close Encounter at Hidden Mountain. And another one, it's Closer Encounter at Hidden Mountain. The one that's Closer Encounter at Hidden Mountain is the second interview that Lou White did with me. And there was a phenomenon that happened during that recording. I'm going to share it with you. But beyond that, there's these more recent developments is what I'm going to show you here. We're going to get into scriptures, studying scriptures here later on, but I just want to do this first because I think it's really incredible. It's amazing. I don't even have the words to describe this. So here we go. I'm going to do my most favorite thing in the whole world. In screen, share, screen. All right, so here we go. Chill out over there, Speedy. Chill out, man. I'm getting there. He's trying to tell me hurry up with the pictures. You're trying to rush me. Chill out, Speedy. All right, here we go. All right, so this is Los Lunas, New Mexico desert. And it's near Los Lunas. It's not too far south of Albuquerque. It's in the New Mexico desert. It's a recreational state park area in which you used to be able to go there, but now you can't. They have no trespassing signs all over the place. But you still can go, but you have to contact the Recreational Land Management of New Mexico and get a permit because people are just vandalizing this stuff like crazy. Okay. So this is what this is, and I'm going to blow it up. Just before I blow it up, though, look up here in the middle here, this crescent, this hill. Okay, so that's the blocking Hidden Mountain. So behind that hill is Hidden Mountain. That's where an old ancient Hebrew village ruin, the ruins of an old village lie. And there's walls, and there's pens for livestock. There's habitation, all made of these big rocks. Of course, they've fallen down, but you can still see a lot of the structure. There's even a flat rock up on the edge of a cliff that they use to slaughter animals to do animal sacrificing on. And so a lot of the ruins is up there. It's kind of hard to get there because you got to walk up through here. And right here's hit the Covenant Stone. You can see it right here. And then you walk through between these two trees, and you walk up this way and around this hill, and you go on up behind this hill, up on top behind this hill, and you're on Hidden Mountain. Okay. But right here's the Covenant Stone. All right. So some of you may be familiar with it. I'm going to blow it up so you can see it a little bit. There it is. It has the 10 Debarim, or the 10 Commandments, written on this stone. So this is a gateway stone that the Hebrew settlers, more than likely 3,000 years ago, at the time of Solomon, had chiseled the 10 Commandments into this stone. So this is what it is, okay? And so our adventure was the whole thing was an adventure, but mostly right here in this area, right here is where a lot of things happened. A lot of things. All right. So from there, let me take you to, let me see. Yeah, I'm going to take you to this original photo here now. That's the same one that most of you have seen. Maybe some of you haven't, but I'm going to put it up here now. All right. Here we go. All right. Now, in this particular photo, you can see there's a tree here. Well, this tree was laying flat down on this rock. laying right up against it. Now it's not. Okay. And I'm giving you a brief introduction here because I don't want to go through every little detail. If you want a detail, go watch them videos on Lou's channel when you get a chance. But see this light right here? This was captured with my wife's camera spontaneously. In other words, the light appeared. She looked at it and it was so bright she had to close her eyes immediately. She turned her head, threw her arm up in the air. She's left-handed, snapped the photo, and didn't even know what the photo was. We didn't know until hours later what was even on the camera. And this is what was on the camera. And so I did this Yahuwah thing. It's just like a chalk. I didn't engrave it into the stone, so I didn't vandalize this rock or anything. But it's real small. It just appears big because it was close to her camera when she snapped it. That's why it's blown up like that. But to put it in perspective, it's very small. So this light appears up here in this camera. And look how bright this white is. It's whiter than the paper it's printed on. How in the world does that happen? This is exceedingly white. Okay. It's so white that it's turned almost half of these leaves are white. Blow them up a little bit. You can see them a little bit better. And now I want you to pay close attention here to, first of all, see this right here, this notch. Pay attention to that notch and see the light is in front of the notch. You see that? It's in front of it. Remember that. And then you see that the light is touching on this front face of this rock right here. Just barely, but it is overlapping it, right? Across the ridge. You see this right here? If I always thought that this was a crack in the rock and the light was shining through it. But my little grandson was looking at this yesterday and he explained to us, hey, he said, this ain't a crack in the rock. He said, this is a hand coming out of the rock and grabbing the rock. And I said, what? Let me see that. And so we started looking at it. And as we looked at it, I'm going to blow this up now. And let's see what I can do with it. I have another photo, a better one of it I'm going to show you here in a minute, but let me see. Okay, that's probably good enough. Okay, so what this is, when we blew it up and really started looking at it, you can see the purple right here and purple right here and purple in there and purple. See that? This isn't a crack in the rock. This is the light flowing almost like water over top of this rock. Maybe it's white lava. Maybe it's living waters. Maybe the light is got liquid in it. I don't know. But it looks like water flowing down this rock, right? And I said, my grandson said, see, it looks like a hand reaching out and grabbing the rock. And I said, no, you know what that is? That's a finger. Looks like a finger came down here. And there's the end of the finger, stops right here, right? So this would be the finger. And look at this. Look at this vertical, skinny, thin vertical line right here. And it's got like a little tiny flag on the top of it. You see it? And it goes down and does this little loop-de-loop and goes back right here to the finger, tip of the finger. And so I'm thinking, what is that? And that don't make any sense. That's not a crack for sure. And why would this come across here, do a loop-de-loop and flow upwards and then hook like a little flag, like a banner flying at the top of this little flagpole looking deal? So I said, you know what? Maybe that's some type of message. Let's look. And so we got to looking. And what we found was that I'm going to have to take this off because I want you to see this. Look at that right there. See that pole with the banner on it looking type deal? That's Paleo Hebrew for the TS here, Sadia, which is the TS is, it means, for righteousness, Sadek, righteousness in Hebrew. And so that just like the shin, looks like our W. The shin is the beginning of Shaddai. So the shin represents Shaddai. Okay. This represents righteous or righteousness. That's what that symbol is. And it represents righteousness. And it was written there by that light, whatever that light is. And so now I'm going to show it to you again. With that said, now I'm going to show you some other stuff too. I'm going to blow you away. So you don't even really have to use your imagination. Okay, here's that thin pole with the banner right on the top. Sadia. It's the TH, man. See the TH? Look at it. It's the same thing. So why is the little loop-de-loop here on the bottom? I think that's letting us know that this finger coming out of this light is what wrote this. I mean, look at it. It's vertical. If this was like white lava or light, liquid light, we'll just say, as in water, ma'am, living waters flowing down here, wouldn't it just continue to flow? Why would it turn upward and go vertical? See what I'm saying? This is written as a message of righteous. He's righteous. It's righteousness. Who is the only one that's righteous? So what's this saying? You know what I think it's saying? I think it's saying that it's him. He's letting us know this is me. This is my righteousness. Because he's the only one that's righteous. So he's signaling that it's him by writing this Paleo Hebrew letter right here, representing righteousness. Now, from there, let me show you something else here. I know y'all probably think I'm nuts, but this is going to freak you out. It freaked me out, so you're going to get freaked out. How's that? Okay, so this is that little tree. Remember I showed you in that path that went between the two trees by the covenant stone? Well, this is the tree to the right. It's not the one against the stone. It's the one just to the right. All right. Look inside of this tree. Look at that right there. Right there. You see right there? There's a gold box. Look, it's got corners. It's square. There's nothing in nature shaped like this. Nothing. The only thing that can make a square box with edges and corners is man or a messenger, some type of being. And what's really freaky is right here on the front of that thing is the Sadia as well. the same letter, but it's written in a different language. It's written in Aramaic. It looks like a backward 7, but it stands for TS, the same letter as the Paleo Hebrew. And I'm going to blow it up as far as I can before it blurs. And right about, let me see, it's going to blur right here. Let's back off. Okay, right about here. If you look real close, right here at the top, you can see an illumination coming off the top of this box. This thing's lit up, man. It looks gold, but it's lit up. It's a light. It's a lit up square box. We did not see this when we were there. There's no other photo anywhere that we have or on the internet that shows a square illuminated box with this dia on it, but this picture right here. We're even questioning whether or not it was even on this photo because we've never seen this before until yesterday. We don't know if this thing just appeared on this photo on its own or if it was on here originally, but nobody ever saw it. Nobody. And there's been a lot of people look at that photo. But now all of a sudden, this golden box appears within this tree. I'm going to show you the picture again now that I said that showed you that. So let me see. Where is it? Is it this one? No. I'll find it. Just hang on a second. Oh, here it is. This is probably it right here. Yep, this is it. All right. So here we go. Watch this. I'm going to give you a different perspective of it. You understand that we've looked at these pictures a million times, and there's been 100 people or more, probably way more, looked at these pictures, and nobody's ever seen this. It don't show up on any of the other pictures, just this one. What we did was we cropped that first one I just showed you. Here's the original picture before we cropped it. Okay, it's right here. And so, remember I said they walk up this path, and they go between these trees, and they walk up and go around this 2 hills here, and then back behind this hill is Hidden Mountain, where the village ruins are, right? Well, there it is. Look at it. It's right there. You see it right there? It's in that tree right there. And we were all over this area. I mean, everywhere around here. Even on top up here, we were everywhere. And we never saw this box glowing here, this light box, whatever you want to call it. And we never seen it in this picture ever. I've looked at this picture a million times and never saw it. My grandson pointed this out yesterday. He said, "Look at that thing, Paul. What's that right there?" I said, "I don't know." And we started blowing it up and looking at it. And we cropped it. And that's it right there. That's where it's at. Right there. That's where that golden box is. Okay. So there you go. I'm putting that in perspective for you. And there it is. Right there. So how in the world does something like that show up on this photo that we looked at hundreds of times and never saw? I'm going to show it to you again. I have no idea what this is. I'm not even going to elaborate on our conversations that we've had about this because you probably think I'm crazy. There it is. There's when we cropped it, and there's a good shot of it. There's nothing in nature like that. And that looks gold, looks yellow, and it has that Hebrew letter on it. Aramaic, I should say, which means righteousness. But this box isn't just merely gold, folks. This thing's glowing. It's light. There's a light inside this box. The whole light is glowing. The whole box is glowing. So that's another thing we found out. And now, so let me see now. All right, so there was another phenomena that happened. Let me see now. And this was when I was doing the second interview with Lou. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show it to you. Okay. But first, before I show that to you, I want you to see this. As we were discussing this in our second interview Lou did with me on his YouTube channel, we started out. I showed the original picture, the one I just showed you with the finger, and we were going through everything, and we got to the Bigfoot print. We saw a Bigfoot print out there, and right afterwards, I clicked on there and I went back to the picture with the finger, and right in front of our eyeballs, I witnessed it. My wife witnessed it. Lou White witnessed it, and about 7 other people I know witnessed it. And what happened was the light moved. That's right, it moved. On a still picture, that light became animated and it moved. Okay. Forward. You could say it expanded, but expansion is movement, so it moved forward and then froze. And this is what it did. This is mind-blowing here, because you remember when I told you to remember the notch? Remember the notch? Look at the light. It's beyond the notch now. It was up here in the original picture. Now it's down here beyond the notch, and it's come forward across the ridge of the rock, across that crest, where you cannot see that finger anymore in that Hebrew letter. It's totally engulfed it. And the leaves, almost 75% of these leaves are now white on this tree. And this light has pushed the tree branches off of the rock, totally away from the rock. They're not touching the rock at all. They were laying right on it, if you recall the photos I showed you. I'll show it to you again now. I'm telling you now. But these leaves were laying on this rock, right up against it, and now they're not. The light has pushed the branches away from the rock, off of the rock, and 75% of those leaves are white as the light. The light has come across the rock, and it got larger, and it froze. We saw it happen when it happened. Now I'm going to prove it to you here in just a second. This is not made up, folks. I didn't do this. Lou White didn't do this. This did it on its own. This picture became animated and this light moved. Believe it or not. No matter what I do with this photo, okay, I can blow it up all day long. Watch. Okay. You still ain't going to see the finger. The finger that wrote that Hebrew letter is gone. You can't see it because the light has overtaken it. See, the light is well in front of the ridge of the rock now, and it's well beyond this notch I told you to keep your eye on. Not to mention, there's a force field or some type of light shield, whatever you want to call it, protruding from this light. You see it right here? And it starts at the light and it goes all the way down to the ground and protrudes outward, all the way to the ground. That's why it's underneath the branches. The branches can't lay on the rock anymore. This light shield, whatever this is pushing the branches off of the rock. No matter what I do with this thing, blow it up all day long, you ain't going to see that finger and that Hebrew letter. Because the light, and look how much bigger the light is. And it don't even look as round. It looks more oblong now. It came across the ridge, the crust of this rock. And it's now totally sitting on it, standing on it. The light is down on it, whatever you want to call it. And it moved out of its original position. So this is when the light moved and it froze here, just like this. Okay, Lou White captured this and sent it over to me. And this is what it is. Nobody fooled with this. This is what happened. See, got a good look at that. And I'm going to show you the original again. So you can see what I'm talking about now, that you can compare them. There it is. So there's the notch. See, the light is on this side of that notch in the original. When that light came forward and moved or expanded, whatever, the light is now down here below that. And see, you can see the finger here. And if you blow it up, you can see that the light is not beyond this notch. It's up here. And here's the finger drawing that Hebrew letter. Look. The notch is clear. I mean, you can't mess it, man. Look at the tip right here. You can see how white that is right there, where that light's coming down on that. There's that Hebrew letter being drawn there. And then when that light moved, you can't see none of that. That's totally covered. That light is coming down like this across the front of this rock, like this, and this part's coming over here. It's totally engulfing that notch. It's here like that, and you can't see this at all. It's on this side of the notch. Look how bright and white. Look how white, exceedingly white that is. You keep looking at it, it starts moving, and it hurts your eyes. Go ahead, keep looking at it. It hurts your eyeballs. You got to turn away, don't you? I mean, how white? I mean, I've never seen anything this white. It's whiter than the paper it's printed on. It hurts your eyes if you stare at it, especially right in here. And it looks like it's moving. This is the original. And me, my wife, Lou White, and about 7 more people witnessed that thing becoming animated on a still photo, that exact photo right there, and moved. We saw it move, man, with our own eyes. It was astonishing. Okay, so yeah, that's probably about all I want to show you. I mean, I don't want to get into all of this, but I guess I could show you one more real quick, and then I want to move on here. I'm going to get into Lou's video. And I don't want to get all sidetracked either, but I got to show you this one. We were leaving. When we were leaving, we were done. We were leaving. We're about, I don't know, 100 yards, maybe 200 yards from our car. we found this Bigfoot track. And this, believe it or not, it was embedded in parched clay. And so, I mean, this clay was solid like concrete, man, and it's all parched up. Well, this thing was so heavy. This must have been about 15, 16 inches long, whatever. You can see the heel print here is very prominent. It's a perfect round heel. This is kind of amazing that the side here is almost like it's flat-footed. You know, like it doesn't have an arch, right? Humans have arches. This don't seem to have an arch because of this right here seems to be making it flat-footed. Here's the heel. And dig these toes, man. See the toes? Pretty clear, right? Look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's got 6 toes. 6-toe, barefooted imprint. Call it Bigfoot if you want. Call it a Nephilim if you want. Call it a giant if you want. You can even tell me Shaq O'Neal was out here, and I'll say, can't be Shaq O'Neal. He's got 22-inch feet. This is probably 15, 16. So this was an amazing find as well. Can you imagine the weight of whoever made this? Look, it collapsed this hard clay down around 1/2 inch here, and then maybe even 1 inch to 2 inches right through here on the toe area. It had to have tremendous weight, man. I could jump up and down on this, and I weighed 240 pounds at the time we were there. I don't weigh that much now, but I did then. And I could jump up and down on there and not even make a dent. So you tell me. What made that print? Oh, I know. I know what some of you are thinking. Oh, I don't need no Bigfoot print to believe in Yahuwah. I don't need to see no light manifestation to believe in Yahuwah or to be obedient. Well, I got news for you, man. You know, belief is a gift from Yahuwah. This is no different than what Paul saw in the desert on the road to Damascus on the King's Highway. He saw a light so bright appeared to him in the sky at noon. At noon, the same time this one appeared to my wife and my granddaughter, and it blinded him. It was so bright. We've been studying about the light. For some reason. It's not going away. And so I'm going to get off our little vacation there as far as those pictures go. And I want you to, let's see now. How am I going to do this? Oh, we're having so much fun share screening, aren't we? We got a lot of share screening, man. Okay, so here we go. All right. So now this is Lou White's channel. You see his pretty little face down here with his white beard. See him? Right there. So yeah, that's him right there. See? Lou White. So you can go to Lou White's channel and you can find this. The other one is Close Encounter at Ed Mountain, the first one. This one is Closer Encounter at Ed Mountain. This is the one you want to look at. Okay, so here we go. I'll show you what was happening here.
Almost 400 years before Daniel and the rest of Yehuda were taken away to Babylon, Shlomo sent ships to remote areas of the earth to set up colonies, and they left waymarks of their presence. Well, let's begin with the first photo that you wanted to show, showing the general area.
Okay. So here we go. We're starting the interview. All right. And here in the middle here is the original photo. This is me and my grandson on top of the rock. Right here. Well, wait a minute. Let me get over here. Here we are on top of the rock. My grandson and I. Right here's the covenant stone. See the tree? Look, you can see that the branches are laying on this rock. Okay, see them? They're right down on it. They're pushing hard against it. This one over here, we came down. We went up on this side, up this little game trail, up to get up here. And then we came down on the other side and we went around this tree and came down here. Okay. And so this Yahuwah thing here is right, to put it in perspective, it's right there under this branch. It's real small. This only looks large because my wife's camera was really close when she took this picture. That's why it's magnified here, I think. I'm trying to find, a reasonable, a real type, scenario to explain all this. But I think that's why this is magnified. I'm not sure, but you can see in this photo that here's the trunk. It comes down like this, and it's right close to that rock. Comes out like that, kind of curves up. And the leaves are right up against this rock. And I wrote his name right there underneath that limb. And then you can see how close they are over here. Right here, you can see how that's all laying up on that rock right there. Okay, and the trunk kind of curves. So it's real close to the rock and it comes up like that. And all the branches and leaves are laying right on that rock. Right on it. And you can see over here in this photo as well. They're laying right on the rock. Well, in this photo, the light's pushing them branches off the rock. Look, none of them they're not touching that rock at all now. They're pushed back and they're turned white. So this is the original photo. You see it? So if you look real close, you can see here's the notch. Okay, and you can see that the light's in front of the notch. Okay, it's not down here. It's in front of the notch like you saw when I showed you the picture. And you can see right here, it's the finger coming down. Here's the finger that comes down and makes that Hebrew letter. So you can see that this is the original photo. Okay? All right, so the interview continues on.
Yeah, of the stone itself. The covenant stone is in the picture, right?
Yes.
Okay, so see, we're having this interview, and I'm going to fast forward it way over to, I can show you this.
I can't.
They asked me, and I'm going to share the recipe I used to lose 24 pounds. Okay, first, you're going.
Kind of like was speaking to you.
Okay, so here is a double rainbow we saw out of our hotel window. And you can see the double here. Well, this one here, touching from end to end very plainly. This one, I could see it touching here, and I thought I saw that it was touching this ground. But later, after we got home, we were looking at these pictures a million times. I've seen that the double one here was not touching all the way down. It was touching here on this side. It was touching on this side. I gotta see on this one. I keep messing up on that. Here it is, the double rainbow. It wasn't touching on this side, but it was on this side. Okay. And this one here was touching on both ends. So later on, Yahuwah revealed to me that we are in the days as Noah. Is this what he was letting me know here? All this, everything that happened was a spiritual adventure. Watch this interview. In the first one, I'll explain it all in them. But he said, let me know that this one here, this one, and this one was 2,000 year period. These rainbows represented 1 millennium each. And the first millennium after Yahuwah died and resurrected and ascended, begin the final 2,000 years, which are the end times. Well, this one says that 1 millennium's expired. So now we're down to the second millennium here, is what this rainbow here is representing. And as it went across, it didn't quite touch the ground on this side, indicating that that second millennium is not quite over yet, but it's getting close to being over. And so we're really close to the second millennium expiring and the return of Yahushua. That was the spiritual message I got here. Now I'm going to fast forward it. I just wanted to tell you that one.
Well, in my mind, like I always do, and like, what's
See, so we're still talking about everything. And then we get to here and we talk about the Bigfoot.
it's a Galaxy Z.
Okay. And right after we're talking about this Bigfoot, let me see. Now watch what happens to this photo. Remember what I showed you now? The original photo of the light, right? That's the only one we had. I didn't have this other photo. The one that I just showed you in the beginning of this video was the only photo I had of the light. The only one. Watch this.
One person will not believe is because Yahuwah himself did not give them the gift of belief. And so, no, we can't believe on our own. It has to come from Yahuwah. He gives the gift of belief according to what he knows is in your heart. If we have a pure heart, someone has a pure heart, then Yahuwah sends them belief. Without Yahuwah, we can do nothing. It's up to him whether you believe or not.
Yeah.
It's not up to us. We can't do nothing without Yahuwah.
Yeah. Putting all this in context, though, it's just
Get ready for it. It's coming up.
It can't be an accident. This is all in a short period of time that you were there, and you just happen to randomly find all these things. It's just amazing.
It's as the days go on, more and more.
Here it is. Look, this when I brought this back up, I clicked on the original video, the original picture that I showed you in the beginning of this video, and it didn't look like this. Okay, what happened is this light began to move, and as my wife and I were watching this video the next morning, by the way, after we recorded this. We didn't watch it. Lou didn't even post this until early the next morning. So my wife and I got up and we were eating breakfast. I said, hey, let's watch that video, that interview Lou did with me. And so we were watching it. And when it came to this, that light moved and came over in front of the rock, right in front of our eyeballs. Look how white the light is. And now you can see that this light is on this side of the notch. And it's come farther across the crest of the ridge of this rock. You can't see the finger anymore with the Hebrew letter because the light has moved across the rock. And look, there's the notch. It's on the other side of the notch now. And it's pushed the branches. The light's pushed the branches farther away. And 75% of those leaves have turned white as the light now. And then after it came across the rock here, we saw it pulsating as it moved or expanded, whatever it was doing. It came across that ridge and froze right there like you're seeing it now. And there's how it sets. And so now I have two photos of the light. I have the original photo showing the finger and the Hebrew letter. And I have this photo where the light has expanded, got bigger, and moved across the face of the rock and down the edge of the rock where it's on the other side of that notch now. And the leaves have turned more white and the branches have been pushed off that rock by the light. Look how I showed you the branches. We did.
Surfacing just like.
You see, we're not saying nothing because it wasn't like that when we did this video. We didn't see nothing abnormal. It was the same original video, man. It didn't move till the next day when we were sitting there watching it and it was playing and all of a sudden it moved. For us, I don't know how when everybody else saw it, but when we saw it, we were eating breakfast.
With the interview you did to me about a few days ago, or yesterday, whenever it was.
See, we're just talking normal.
Speaking right around the 33-minute and 7-second mark on the timeline, this menorah appears.
That was actually something I did not remember. It was still in a previous video that I used as a template, and I had not removed that. And I didn't know that I hadn't. And when you first asked me about that, I said, no, I didn't put anything.
Yeah, and so we talked about that, and I said to you, it's still amazing, Lou, because how did you wipe out the entire presentation or the interview, and this frame got stuck there and appeared at that precise moment in the interview?
Yeah.
The moment that it appeared was when we were speaking about light frequencies.
Yeah, that's the light. That's the symbol.
That was yeah, that's kind of weird. It just seems to just keep going on and on, with all these breadcrumbs, but.
Okay, so there it is, man. Lou White's interview, and this is when that light moved, animated. It's a still picture. Okay, right there on that video, man. I didn't have that picture before, but I do now. Okay, so I got both photos now. The original, and when the light became animated on that still photo and moved itself and then froze. And it looks like a totally a different photo now than the original. And just in case you think that we forged this, and my wife is crooked, and she was crawling around down on the ground like a snake trying to manipulate the photo or photoshopped or any of that kind of garbage, we went and had a certificate done. So we have a certificate of authenticity on the original photo. Okay. And by a renowned state photographer down in Tyler, Texas. And she's one of the best. And she looked at it and she certified it as being authentic. And here it is. Here's her. She confirms that the following image was taken on 7/8/22, 11:45, 14 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Blah, 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 blah. It was taken on the Samsung model. It tells the model of the cell phone. The image was shot at a focal length of 5 millimeter. The aperture was f/1.8 with an exposure time of 1,000th of a second, ISO 40. The image was viewed by me in its original unalterated form using Adobe Photoshop Lightroom software. And here she signed it and dated it. And here's her signature. Here's the date. And this was the date and the time that this one's taken. This is the date and time as this one was taken. The reason this one here, I asked her to put this on the certificate. I was messing around with that one. Here's her signature, and the date, and all that. And right here, the reason this photo's on this, she was just going to put this one. I asked her to put this one because this one here is pointing in due west, almost straight due west. So this one here is pointed southwest at 11:45 a.m. So the sun would have been in southeastern sky at 11:45 a.m. The southeastern sky straight overhead, because it was noon or just about noon. And so therefore this cannot be the sun, because the camera is pointed in the southwest direction, not the southeast. And so this was due west. And so she said, okay, so both of these are pointing basically toward Hidden Mountain, right? And I said, yep. And that's why she put them both on there, just to confirm each photo. So you can see the leaves are pushed. The leaves here are pushed off of this rock. And look at this one. The leaves are right up against the rock. You see what I'm saying now? So there it is. Certificate of authenticity. So that just proves that that original photo was not photoshopped. Okay. That's what that proves. Or wasn't tampered with in any way, shape, or form. It's an original picture that was taken directly off the camera that it was taken with. That's what this is saying. Okay. Okay. The light, man, the light, you know. So I just want to look back here again now at John 1. It says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. He was in the beginning with Elohim. All came to be through him, and without him not even one came to be that came to be. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Oh, wow. So, I mean, scriptures is full of light passages. Light's mentioned over 200 times in scripture. Lightning is mentioned another over 30 more times in scripture as well. And so it's astonishing thing, really, to see what the light does say. If we look at, say, for instance, let's look at 1 Timothy 16. So 1 Timothy 16. Remember, we've been talking about the light for the last couple of weeks, you know, on this evening show, and also on this Shabbat talk that we do every Shabbat. So, I don't want to beat you up with this because we've already been talking about it, but I do want to point out just a couple, a couple things here. Look at 1 Timothy 6:16. It says, who alone has immortality, dwelling in unapproachable light, whom no one has seen or is able to see, to whom be respect and everlasting might. No one has ever seen Yahuwah in his natural form, the spirit. When he's in his body of light, he can be seen, and he has been seen in his body of light. Moses saw him in his body of light when he did the transfiguration on the Mount of Transfiguration that they they call it. He shone like the sun. He was in his body of light as well. So he transformed back into his body of light and then came back into his body of flesh. All things are possible with Yahuwah. Don't doubt his power. Don't box him in or try to define him. Yahuwah can do whatever he wants to do. Look at, let me see, for instance, Psalms 104. And then we're going to get moving on this because we're going to talk about that a little bit more anyway. But look at just real quick, Psalms 104. So it says, bless Yahuwah, my being, Yahuwah, my Elohim. You have been very great. You have put on excellency and splendor, covering yourself with light as with a robe, stretching out the Shemayim like a curtain. Wow. Putting on light as with a robe. Wow. All right. That's a beautiful passage right there. I love that. Psalms 104. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the scriptures now. So we can get into that just a little bit if y'all want. So let's see here. We'll see what we got up here. Okay. Oh, by the way, somebody went in there and vandalized that covenant stone, and they put something black all over it where you couldn't read it. It looked like black paint or black oil or something on it. And that's wearing off now. And so it can be read again, which is just an amazing thing. Some people say that somebody snuck in there and cleaned it up. And others say that it just started wearing off on its own. Whatever it was, it can be read now. And so the vandals continue to try to destroy it. But Yahuwah continues to make it legible for people to read. I don't know. I mean, when I was there, even my wife even says so as well. I felt like I was standing on set apart ground myself. I really did. It's a very special place. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started on tonight's study. And Yahuwah has always, throughout Scripture, we can read about him doing supernatural visions for people, different theophanies, manifestations, things throughout the entire Scriptures. And so Yahuwah can appear in any form he wants to whoever he wants to, whenever he wants to. And Scripture's full of it. Full of examples of it. And so if you're going to deny Yahuwah's power to manifest himself to someone in our era as light, then you almost have to discredit all of the scriptures. Because it expands over almost a 6,000 year period, 5,000 year period, man. So Yahuwah's been doing these supernatural manifestations, visions, theophanies, whatever you want to call them, for nearly 6,000 years. So why are you going to start doubting him now? Go ahead. That's up to you. I'm not. I don't need a manifestation of light to believe in Yahuwah. I don't need a Bigfoot track to believe in phenomena. Okay? I don't. Because Yahuwah has given me the gift of belief. But if people that don't believe, is why Yahuwah has done the things that he has done, so that maybe they may believe. Maybe. their heart would change and he would send them the gift of belief. Okay? Because the belief is a gift from Yahuwah. You can't believe if he doesn't give. A dead person could come back to life and you still wouldn't believe. Scripture's full of them examples too. So the signs, the wonders, the miracles in Scripture are there so people can believe. Even the virgin birth coming out of the womb of a maiden was a miraculous, supernatural thing, so the people would believe that Yahuwah came. He left his throne and came down here. He was born in the likeness of man and pitched his tent among us and walked among us. But they didn't recognize him. They didn't accept him. That all changed on the second coming. So anyways, Yahuwah has always had supernatural visions. One of them was with an Italian commander, military commander, and Peter. Oh, good old Peter. And that particular supernatural vision for the centurion and for Peter really changed history, didn't it? It absolutely did. So Romans 12:2 says, do not conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what Yahuwah's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. So Yahuwah loves everybody. If you didn't love them, they wouldn't be here, even the evil people. Yahuwah sustains all life, all flesh at conception. I just showed you the videos. And so at conception, everything that breathes air, everything really, okay, is sustained by Yahuwah, by the light of life. Okay. And without that light, nothing can live. You have to have him because he's in us and we're in him. That's why we can walk, breathe, and talk and be animated and be alive. It's because he's in us. His light's in us, which is life. And he's sustaining us and he's keeping us alive. Okay, that light brings us to life at conception. So people that say that a child is not a child until 3 months or 6 months or 8 months or whatever are out of their minds. It's at conception. You saw it yourself. As soon as that sperm penetrated that egg, the light came into that being and he became a living being. We're all in the light, and the light is in all of us. If not, we wouldn't be alive. Even the evil people. So Yahuwah loves every race, every group of people, every culture, every nation, every tongue. If not, they wouldn't be here. Just the fact that they're with us is proof that he loves them. Even the archangel Michael was fearful to badmouth Satan when they fought over the body of Moshe. He didn't dare even badmouth Satan. He just said, Yahuwah rebuke you, Satan. And what happened? Yahuwah came down and told him, get out of here. The body's mine. And Yahuwah took Moshe's body and he went and buried it out in the desert where nobody knows where. So you don't think Yahuwah loves Satan? Yeah, he does. Michael knows it too. That's why he didn't badmouth Satan. Why? Because that was Yahuwah's creation. If you badmouth somebody's creation, the creator's creation, And as in retrospect, you're bad mouthing the Creator. So Yahuwah loves every race. I don't care, man, woman, ugly, pretty, short, tall, fat, skinny, crippled, blind, whatever. Black, white, red, yellow, don't matter. Brown, don't matter to Yahuwah. He's going to deliver somebody from every nation, from every race. It's why through his wisdom, is why he scattered Ephraim. It's why Adam and Kua fell and was thrown out of the garden out into the world. They scatter the seed of Yesharah throughout the nations so that every nation will be represented in the eternal reign. That's why. Adam and Kua is Israel. Same as Ephraim. Same as Yehuda. The seed of Abraham that's scattered throughout all the nations is Yisrael, which means rulers with Yah. So all our skin colors may be different, but beneath our skin, everything else is the same. We all come from the same flesh and blood. It's a natural thing for people to feel more comfortable with their own race, with their own ethnic group, and even with their own distinctive cultures, their foods they eat, their languages, the way they dress, the way they behave themselves, the way their society is. That's only natural. Other people that are different, they see it as different, and so they fear it. And when they fear something or they don't understand something, they hate it and they want to destroy it. And that's the way of man. That's the way of the mind of the flesh. And even within the comfortability of each other's own ethnical people, we begin to have hatred. So you're not even safe within your own group. Okay, it seems to be that there's too much comfort within a group or something. It can lead to sin, unloving thoughts, to the comfortability of it. It's almost like, say, there's two men, and one's real strong. He's a really good fighter, and the other one's just a common, average strength guy. And at first, he knows that stronger guy that can fight really good can beat him up. But the longer he hangs out with him, the more familiar he becomes with him, and the more comfortable he is around him, his thoughts begin to think that he can overpower that strong guy and beat him up. So we're not even safe within our own comfort zones, within our own ethnic groups, really, because of the mind of the flesh. Is how the mind of the flesh works. I'd say since the beginning, really, racism's existed. People have always taken the opinion or the stance, or the feeling that it's us versus them. And I think it's come from the beginning, and it's still with us. It's just the way the mind is. So, has Yahuwah ever tried to get your attention in any way, or to teach you perhaps a lesson about something, or to help you out of a situation that you were in. Well, Yahuwah did this exact thing with Peter. So Peter and the other Talmudim that were mostly in Jerusalem, living in Jerusalem at that time, first century, first Nazarene. Most of them lived in Jerusalem, and had an issue, okay, sharing the Basora of Yahusha with Gentiles, okay, because they had the old mindset that they weren't supposed to associate with Gentiles in any way, shape, or form, or they could become unclean. And so this went on until Yahuwah personally got involved. And when he got involved, he used Peter to teach Peter a lesson about clean and unclean humans, mankind, and the elect. Okay. So I've even heard people among the Nazarene community, really, that said that only a remnant will be delivered, a small remnant, not too many, because they discard any of the Gentiles. And a lot of them say only 144,000 is going to be delivered, just a small remnant of all the people that ever lived. And that's not true. That's why Yahuwah did what he did. It's why Yisrael fell and sinned, so that he could scatter them throughout the world and mix Abraham's seed among the world in order to deliver Yisrael. If they would have done everything they were supposed to do, they weren't supposed to intermarry with other races. They weren't supposed to associate with other people other than people from Yisrael, the 12 tribes. And they were supposed to listen and obey Torah. If they would have did everything they were supposed to do, we'd all be dead. We'd all be in big trouble. But because of their disobedience, he scattered the seed of Abraham throughout the nations so that everyone in all the nations could be delivered. Because, like Yahusha said, deliverance is of the Yehudim. And he also said, I only came for the lost of Yisrael. So later, we'll return back to this story about Peter here in a minute. So when Yahuwah revealed himself with power, very powerfully to Peter, it was through a vision. Okay. And this vision was extremely powerful vision. One of the most powerful ones, really, and throughout all of Scripture. And it changed everything, because the Yehudim began to accept other people, mankind, the nations, into the covenant. So to better understand the lesson here that Yahuwah wanted to teach Peter, we need to understand the extreme social tensions that existed at that time. Okay, at the time of Yahusha, the first century Nazarene, that was between the Yehudim and the Gentiles, or the nations, okay? So the word often used here to refer to the Gentiles in the Hebrew script is goy. And in the plural, it is goim. And this just simply means nations or people. Okay. And it was very rare that this word goy was used to refer to the nation of Israel itself. But it was in Exodus 19:6 when it said, "You shall be for me a priestly kingdom and a set apart nation." See that nation? That's goy. And these are the words that you shall speak to the Israelites. So here he calls the Israelites goy, or a nation. Okay. And they would be a priestly kingdom. So the Hebrew word goyim as a term progressed to mean people whose parents were not from the lineage of any of the 12 tribes. And so if their parents were not blood lineage of any of the 12 tribes, then they were labeled goyim. Okay. And so in English, we translate this word because it's not a name. It's just a word. We can't translate names, but we can words. And so in English, we translate the word goyim as Gentiles. That's what we say, Gentiles. Okay. But to the Yehudim, these were the other people in the world. This was mankind. Okay. The people who practiced paganism. They were pagans. They were pagan worshipers, like this dude right over here. Bad boy, Speedy. No, don't you dare eat no more pork chops and mice. I told you now. You stop eating that nasty, unclean meat. Speedy, he's a Gentile. So many of the Yehudim believed that they were to be entirely separated from the Gentiles. Totally separated. They weren't even allowed to eat with them. They weren't allowed to go into their house. Nothing. Okay. And so this behavior or belief added to the animosities and the prejudice on both sides. It caused friction between the Yehudim and the Gentiles. And so there was a Canaanite woman who was a Gentile and who begged Yahusha to heal her daughter, her child. And it seemed to understand the social tension between the Yehudim and the Gentiles. Okay, this woman, she seemed to get that. And so we find her story in Matthew 15. And so it basically, I'm going to go ahead and turn there. This is an important passage here, this story. It's huge. And so this is a Gentile woman in the day of total segregation between the Yehudim and the Gentile. Okay. And so here she comes begging for mercy and wanting Yahusha to heal her daughter or child. So Matthew 15, we'll pick the story up in verse 21. And go down to about 28. So it says, and Yahusha went out from there. By the way, this is right after Peter's story, okay? And it's not about food, okay? It's not about food, okay? And so we'll go down here to 21 now. And Yahusha went out from there and withdrew to the parts of Zor and Zidon. And seeing Asha of Canaan came from those borders and cried out to him, saying, "Have compassion on me, master, son of Daud. My daughter is badly demon possessed." But he did not answer her a word. And his Talmudim came and asked him, saying, "Send her away, because she cries after us." And he answering said, "I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Yesharel." But she came and was bowing to him, saying, "Master, help me." And he answering said, "It is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs." So to the Yehudim back in this first century, the Goyim, or the Gentiles, were called dogs. They called them dogs. But she said, "Yes, master, for even the little dogs eat the crumbs which fall from their master's table." Man, that's so powerful. And Yahusha answering said to her, "O Asha, your belief is great. Let it be to you as you desire." And her daughter was healed from that hour. Wow. So it seems that even Yahusha, who didn't know anything unless it was revealed to him by the Ruach HaKodesh, I mean, he didn't even know what to say unless it was told to him by the Ruach, obviously didn't understand at this point that he was going to be the Messiah of the nations as well. And this woman seemed to change his mind, and her belief, her worship and her belief blew his mind, and so he granted her what she asked. This was a Gentile woman now. Remember, there was severe prejudice here. Okay, there was hate, and they didn't associate. It was so bad that they referred to them as dogs. So Yahusha showed his Talmudim here in this event that he was a light to the Gentiles as well, and that Yahuwah's love was not just for the Yehudim, but for everyone, even the nations. So this was a huge event. So we also see this distinction between the Yehudim and the Gentile when the guards took Yahusha into the headquarters of Pilate. Pilate was a Roman governor at the time, ruling over Judea. And Peter and the other Yehudim stayed outside in the cold. So if they went inside, they could become ritually defiled and unfit to eat the coming Passover meal. That's why they stayed outside. They didn't go in. Look at John 18:28. John 18:28. Then they led Yahusha from Quafa to the palace, and it was early, and they themselves did not go into the palace, lest they should be defiled, but that they might eat the Passover. See that? So when it came to protecting the purity of the temple, second temple, and its Levites, its priests, warning signs were placed outside the walls of the inner court of the temple. And one that they found during excavation reads this way: No foreigner is to go beyond the balustrade and the plaza of the temple zone. Whoever's caught doing so will have himself to blame for his death, which will follow. So this was discovered by Claremont Ganea in 1871 in Jerusalem. And the warning sign was written in Hebrew and Greek. Actually, it was written in Greek so that the Gentiles could read it and understand what it said, the warning. Okay, so the Gentiles were, though, welcome in where they did have a Gentiles courtyard. Okay, and so the Gentile or the Kohen courtyard back then was a large open area where the Gentiles and the Yehudim, actually, the circumcised or the not circumcised is what they used to call themselves. So the Yehudim were the circumcised and the Gentiles were the uncircumcised, could go there and shop in the bazaar or the marketplace, okay? They could exchange their money and socialize in the porches that lined the edges of the courtyard in the temple area. And this was called the Gentiles' courtyard, okay? So here, the teachers of the Torah could go and discuss matters pertaining to Yahuwah and oral traditions with the uncircumcised or the unclean or the dogs. And they did this in hopes of converting some of them into their culture and to their understanding of the scriptures. If they did find somebody, a Gentile that wanted to convert, then they were, I think they had to shave off all their hair, and they had to be water immersed, not in the name of Yahusha, of course, but they had to be immersed, and it was still symbolic of them dying as a Gentile, and then when they come up out of the water, they would be reborn as Israelite. That's what they did, and then they were, they were allowed. They were an adopted son then, basically. So Yahusha went beyond the courtyards. Okay, and when he began to understand that he was the light of the world, he even stated that he was the light of the world. But he went down to a well and he spoke to a Samaritan woman at the well. He also spoke to the Roman centurion, the Italian, and even healing the Roman centurion, his servant, for him. Okay, and so Yahusha demonstrates Yahuwah's love for even mankind, for the Gentiles, the Gohim. So in Matthew 5, back there, we'll go back to Matthew 5. We find in 5:8 through 8 through 13, we find a Gentile Roman centurion came to Yahusha pleading that he would visit his home and heal his paralyzed servant. And remember, at this particular time, the first century, the culture, the Israelite culture, the law dictated that a Yehudi person was not allowed to visit the home of a Gentile, because if they did, they would become defiled, unclean. So Yahusha, being amazed at the belief of this Gentile Roman centurion, this Italian, and he said in front of all his Talmudim that the Yehudim did not have as much belief that this Goyim Roman centurion had. So think about that. How embarrassing would that be? It would be very embarrassing when. So here they're thinking they're a lot better, than to Goyim. And here's Yahusha telling them that this Goyim, a Roman centurion soldier to boot, has more belief than they do. Imagine that, how they felt. And on top of it, right in front of them, Yahusha agreed to visit the home of this Gentile, which was highly forbidden at that time. So Yahusha even went on further to say that many of the Goyim, the Gentiles, from all the nations of the world, will sit with Abraham, Yitzchak, and Jacob, while many of the Yehudim people will never enter the kingdom of Yahuwah. Talking about blowing their minds. I mean, we're talking culture shock here. This wasn't something, I don't think we understand or give enough emphasis on what this meant at that time. This was a culture shock. This had to blow their minds to the point where they didn't know which way to turn. And matter of fact, simultaneously at the same exact time that Yahusha was telling them this, the servant of that Roman centurion was healed at the same moment. He told him that. So why do you think that Yahusha offended his followers of the first century that day? By rejecting them and interacting with this Gentile soldier, Roman soldier to boot. And as far as they were concerned, the Talmudim and his followers, Yahusha was breaking Yehudish tradition. It was shattered their world, man. This was no small thing at the time. Even when Yahusha recited his blessings, what they call beatitudes, which means blessings. On the mount by the Sea of Galilee, he seemed to answer the question, really, on why he offended his followers of the day by that day by interacting with the Gentile and breaking Yehudite tradition. So he says, if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? And if you greet only your brothers and sisters, what more are you doing than the Gentiles are doing? Do not even the Gentiles do the same? Be perfect, therefore, as your Father in the Shemayim is perfect. So here's Yahushua teaching them about perfect love, isn't he? Spiritual maturity, seeing people the same way as Yahuwah sees them, with love in his eyes and his heart for them. When you get to that point where you can look at people that of different races, different cultures, different backgrounds, fat, ugly, skinny, tall, whatever, and love them, have a love for them when you look at them and not even know why, you've reached a level of maturity, spiritual maturity. And you are seeing the reason that's happening to you is because you've reached this certain level of spiritual maturity that you are seeing people the same way Yahuwah sees them. He's looking at them through your eyes and you're feeling his love for them. That's what's happening to you. Read Matthew 5:47 and 48. And if you greet your brothers only, what do you do more than others? Are the tax collectors not doing so too? Therefore, be perfect as your Father in the Shemayim is perfect. Wow. So in a way, then, Yahushua was demonstrating to his Talmudim how to be fully mature. When he talked with the Gentiles, rather than calling them dogs and spitting on the ground and lowering your eyes, not even looking at them. Instead, he talked with them. He agreed to go to their house. He healed them. And you better believe that Yahushua died for the sins of both the Yehudim and the Gentiles alike. And if you really think about it a little bit harder, you go all the way back to when Israel began with Abraham. He was a Gentile. Abraham was a Gentile. He was uncircumcised. And Abraham was King David's lineage. Came from him, and he was a Gentile. So they didn't start become a nation, start calling each other Israel until Jacob, all right? Yaakov. So King David's great-grandmother was Ruth, who was also considered a Gentile. She was a Moabite woman, which was considered at that time, because they have gotten so far away from the culture of the Yehudim and were turned almost totally, if not totally, into a pagan society, that they were considered pagans and the enemy of Israel. So Ruth was considered a Gentile. But even with this knowledge, which obviously the Talmudim, the first century Nazarene, had to have that, and they had to know that. I mean, they had that knowledge, but it just didn't fit, okay, into their understanding because the way they were raised, because of the Yehudish traditions that they grew up with. And so these Talmudim, their understanding of how Yahuwah's kingdom worked was being shattered by Yahusha, because they felt that it was only for them, for Israel, for the Yehuda, and not the Goyim. And so you can see how it must have shook them up. You imagine them running around like chickens with their head cut off, totally blown away, not understanding what Yahusha was doing. So if they were going to eventually become the shepherds or the teachers, okay, the emissaries, the priest, the rulers that Yahuwah called them to be, this prejudiced behavior, their biases, their racial prejudices had to be dealt with and eliminated, because Yahuwah loves every race, every type of people. It's kind of weird, but if you really think about it, why did Yahuwah move forward and create evil people? Satan worshipers, pagans, murderers, rapists, baby killers, warmongers. Why? Because one day is 1,000 years to Yahuwah, and 1,000 years is as one day to Yahuwah. So to Yahuwah, this creation, this time period that man is allowed to rule over himself, which is 6,000 years to us, is only 6 days to him. It's a short time. And he knows what's coming. He knows what's going to happen in the millennium reign and what's going to happen in the eternal reign 1,000,000 years from now. And so the way we see things, which is life-changing to us, is not to him. Because he knows what you're going to get when you get to the eternal reign, what life's going to be like, okay? So he created these people because he loved them. And the evidence that he loved them is because he created them. They wouldn't be born if he didn't love them. But you see, he knew that they would be evil. And he knew that their wick, their fire, would be snuffed out. It would be thrown into the lake of fire and destroyed, annihilated, utter destruction. But he loved them so much that he wanted them to taste life. He wanted them to live with his light in them, even if it was for a very, very short time. He wanted them to taste life and to have blessings. And later, they would be snuffed out, thrown in the lake of fire and destroyed. So even though he knew they were going to be evil, he went ahead and created them anyway because he loved them. But he knew that he couldn't take them into eternity with them because they were evil and dark, and that has to be eliminated. And so he's refining the ones that he chose out of the darkness into his light, and he's cleaning them up so that they can go into eternity with him. The others, he loves them. He let them experience and taste life, but they can't live forever. It's kind of like what he told Adam and Kua. And they sinned. He said, you got to leave paradise. You got to leave the Garden of Eden. At least you take from the tree of life and get eternal life. Then you're going to die, so get out. Okay. So it's like that, if you can pick up what I'm laying down. So this Yahusha's actions didn't quite fit into their understanding, his Talmud, their understanding of how Yahuwah's reign or kingdom worked. Okay, it went against everything that they were ever taught from a little baby up to adulthood. And so it fried their brain, basically. But this had to be dealt with, man. There's no way that they could serve Yahuwah, represent Yahuwah, and be biased or prejudiced against other people, even the Gohim, because they were chosen to be priests and kings, rulers with Yahuwah. So Yahusha, though Yahusha already demonstrated to them what Yahuwah's will is, or Yahuwah's heart was toward the Gentiles, Yahuwah still needed to do something more persuasive, because these people were brought up in these prejudiced, biased traditions and from childhood. And so they had to be untaught this before they could be retaught. Okay, they had to deprogram everything they've been taught, throw away everything in the trash bin, what they thought they knew, so that they could take in the new wine, the new teaching, the way that it was going to be. After Yahusha discovered that he was the Messiah of the world, he began to act accordingly, and his followers had to be deprogrammed in order to represent him as his servants and his emissaries. All right. So Yahuwah supernaturally connects the Gentile and a Yehudim through a weird vision. Okay. So during the time of Yahusha, the second largest city in Israel was Caesarea. And this city was just up the coast there along the Mediterranean Sea from Joppa or Jaffa. Okay. And so today, this Joppa, this old ancient city of Joppa, where Peter was, is known as Jaffa today. And it's like it's kind of like considered part of Tel Aviv, I guess. Kind of like Fort Worth and Dallas, But in this Caesarea city is where this Roman centurion lived. His name was Cornelius. And he was somehow, he was a devout worshiper of Yah. This man, who was a Gentile, prayed continuously. And he prayed continually and helped the poor and even helped the poor Yehudim by giving them alms, charity, gave them tithes, money. And so this Roman soldier was seeking Yahuwah very, very deeply. I mean, he was praying every day. And so Yahuwah sees what's going on. And so he answers this soldier through a vision of sorts. And then, so in that vision, Cornelius, the Italian soldier, if you will, Italian Gentile, saw a messenger. And the messenger said, "Your prayers and your alms have been recognized as a memorial before Yahuwah. Now send some men to Joppa to find a man named Peter, Simon, who is also called Peter, who was staying in the tanner's house by the sea." Okay. So I'm going to, let me see. I'm going to very carefully share screen, do my favorite thing in the world to do. I'm going to share screen. I think. Oh, what am I doing? Oh, yeah. Share screen. I'm going to share screen, Speedy. You paying attention? Pay attention over there, Speedy. Don't be nodding off. All right. So here we go. This is Joppa, or modern day Jaffa. This is where the Roman soldier was. And over here, this city, this skyline here on this coast of Mediterranean Sea, that's Tel Aviv and Yisrael. Yeah, so that's Tel Aviv, and this is Jaffa, which was the old city of Joppa during this time where the Roman centurion was at. Okay. So that's what it looked like, basically. All right. So, yay. Got to share screen. Okay. So, that was a view of Jaffa there from Tel Aviv. So Peter, Cornelius, saw this messenger, right? And he tells him his prayers and his alms have been recognized as memorial before Yahuwah. Okay. And now he's telling him to send some men to Joppa, which I just showed you, to find Peter. He's staying at some tanner's house or tent maker's house. Now, just so we understand what's happening here, don't forget what Peter did. Okay. Peter was the one who denied Yahusha, denied knowing Yahusha 3 times. He knew him well. He was one of the 3 insiders, if you will, that went with him everywhere. But yet he denied him 3 times, even knowing him. So Peter was also the one who lacked belief while he attempted to walk towards Yahusha on water. And he went under and he said, "Save me, Yahuwah." So Peter was the one who Yahuwah chose to send a vision. He chose to have the vision that Yahusha's blood atonement was not only for the Yehudim, but also for the Gentiles. So the day after Cornelius had his vision to send people to go find this man called Simon Peter, his men were traveling to find him. They were out searching vigorously for Peter. So on a rooftop in Joppa, overlooking the Mediterranean Sea there, Peter was praying and he began to get hungry. So while his meal was being prepared for him, downstairs by people in the house, Yahuwah gives Peter a vision. Sleepy Peter, right? And the vision where what he saw, the sky opens up and this large sheet was lowered by 4 corners to the ground. And Peter saw all kinds of 4-footed creatures, reptiles, and birds of the air in the sheet. And a voice said, "Get up, Peter. Wake up, Peter. Kill and eat." And Peter replied, "By no means, for I have never eaten anything that is unclean." And the voice in his vision responded a second time and said, "What Yahuwah has made clean, you must not call unclean." So this vision of Peter's happens 3 times. 3 times. Before the sheet and everything in it was lifted back up into heaven and the vision went away. Okay. So if we look, let me see, Acts 10, I do believe. Yeah. It's in Acts 10, if you want to go there. Yeah, probably from about 17 all the way down, really. But anyway, so this happens 3 times before the vision goes away. All right. So we have to stop and say, why did he show Peter this same vision 3 times? right? And if we remember that Peter denied Yahusha 3 times, maybe that gives us the hint of why Peter was showed this vision 3 times. Because this could have been Yahuwah telling Peter, hey, Peter, it's really me. This is me. It's really me, Peter. Remember when you denied me 3 times? And 3 times you said you loved me? Well, Peter, here's another 3 times. It's really me. So take this one seriously. This is extremely important, Peter. So Peter, denial of Yahusha 3 times spawned or compelled Yahuwah to show Peter this vision 3 times. Maybe as a reminder that he denied him 3 times. You know? And he said he loved him 3 times too, didn't he? So after the visions went away, Peter was still on the roof. And he was sitting there scratching his head, trying to understand the vision and what the voice of Yahuwah told him. 3 Gentiles arrived at the house where he was staying while he was still trying to debate over this vision, what it meant. And at that moment, then the Ruach HaKodesh says to Peter in Acts 10:18 here, as he was thinking about the visions and everything, and then the Ruach says, Peter, 3 men are searching for you. Now get up, go downstairs, and go to them, and don't hesitate, because I have sent them to you. So you see here that Yahuwah had already planned to help this Italian Gentile, this Roman centurion named Cornelius, and his entire household as well. And for some strange reason, Yahuwah chose Peter, who had denied him 3 times, to bring the Basora to Cornelius. So after experiencing the vision, the visitors and the voice of Yahuwah, Peter did something that no righteous Yehudai man would ever do. And that is that Peter went to Caesarea and he entered into the house of a Gentile Roman, Cornelius' house. So Peter was now going against all that he'd known, going against the traditions that he grew up with. He was now sitting at the table in the house of Cornelius the Italian. So in this way, Peter was stepping into his role as Yahuwah's representative, wasn't he? So in front of a lot of people that was gathered in the home, Peter begins to explain to the Gentiles about Yahuwah. he tells them about Yahuwah's heart and his love for them and for all Gentiles, not just them, but all the nations. So in Acts 10, says, you yourselves know that it is unlawful for a Yehudai man to associate with or to visit a Gentile. But Yahuwah has shown me that I should not call anyone unclean or common. So when I was sent for, I came without objection. I truly understand that Yahuwah shows no partiality, but in every nation, anyone who fears him and does what is right will be accepted by him. You know the Besorah he sent to the people of Yisrael, preaching peace by Mashiach Yahusha, who is master of all. So Peter also shared how he personally ate with Yahusha after his death and resurrection. Tell them that everyone who believes in him receives forgiveness of sins through his name. As Peter was talking, the Ruach HaKodesh fell on Cornelius. And the rest of his people in his household as well. It says, while Kepha, Acts 10:44, while Kepha or Peter was still speaking these words, the Ruach HaKodesh fell upon all those hearing the word. And those of the circumcision who believed were astonished, as many as came with Kepha, because the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh had been poured out on the nations also. For they were hearing them speaking with tongues and extolling Elohim. Then Kepha answered, is anyone able to forbid water, that these should not be immersed who have received the Ruach HaKodesh, even as also we? And he commanded them to be immersed in the name of Yahushua Mashiach. Then they asked him to remain a few yamim. So Peter, as he was talking, the Ruach HaKodesh fell on the Gentiles. Blew their minds. All the Yehudim that was with him, it blew all their minds. They just couldn't believe it. They never heard of such a thing as that. Okay. So they were immersed with the Ruach HaKodesh before they were water immersed, which tells us a lot, really. So Cornelius and the people in the household and all those who were hearing Peter's voice was immersed with the Ruach HaKodesh. There in Cornelius' home. And this was, scripture says that this was exactly just how it happened to Peter and all the other 120, 119 in the upper chamber during Pentecost, Shavuot. And they all began to speak in tongues as well, in other tongues, just like this Gohim family did. So before Peter's eyes and before the eyes of all the Yehudim that was with Peter, Yahuwah presented irrefutable evidence to counter the Yehudim's lifelong tradition, the misunderstanding that was taught to them as a child, that the Yehudim were better and above the Gentiles. So that evidence, along with the testimony of 6 witnesses, 6 other Yehudim who were with Peter, changed the mindset of the other believers in Jerusalem as well, didn't it? Some of you may be familiar with that. So Peter shared his entire experience with his brothers in Jerusalem, the other Talmudim that was also with Yahushua all the time, who were held up in Jerusalem as well. And he says that if Yahuwah gave them the same gift that he gave us when we believed in Yahushua Mashiach, who was I that I could hinder Yahuwah? This would be in Acts 11, 17, 18, let's say 16 through 18. Yeah. And I remembered the word of the master, how he said, Yehukanan indeed immersed in water, but you shall be immersed in the Ruach HaKodesh. So if Elohim gave them the same gift as he gave us when we believed on the Master Yahushua Mashiach, how was I able to withstand Elohim? And having heard this, they were silent and praised Elohim, saying, then Elohim has indeed also given to the nations repentance to life. Okay. So why did Yahushua arrange this extravagant event here with Peter? Cornelius, the Roman, and the other Yehudi believers in Jerusalem. And basically, it was to fulfill Yahuwah's plan that the whole world would hear the Besorah of Yahushua. The Besorah would be spread out through the entire world. All flesh. In Matthew 28:19, Yahushua says, go into all the nations and make Talmudim of them. I think Yahuwah's plan or Yahuwah's will can't get much clearer than that. Therefore, go and make Talmudim of all the nations, immersing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Ruach HaKodesh, teaching them to guard all that I have commanded you. And see, I am with you always until the end of the age. Amen. So, wow. The Gentiles were brought out of the darkness into his light, and was pronounced basically equal with the Yehudim. So Yahushua used Peter, just like he's using us last Nazarene today. And that's to fulfill Yahuwah's plan, to reach both of the Yehudim and the Gentiles in this last generation, these last days, just prior to Yahuwah's return. I believe Yahuwah's coming back very soon. I think all the signs are there and pointing to it. Really, to be truthful about it. I mean, I don't expect him back tomorrow, but who knows? But there's a lot of things that have to happen before he comes back, for sure. And in the meantime, Yahuwah wants his people to come to him, to repent and come to him. Matter of fact, in scripture, he says he wants you to come under his wings like an eagle. He says he'll protect you like a hen protects her chicks, under his wings. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His trustworthiness will be your shield and rampart. Psalms 91:4. I show you all something. Share screen. Share screen. When we were out there on that vacation that we were talking about earlier, my wife had a vision. My grandson and I were up on top of the stone hunting for treasure with a metal detector when she had this vision. No, she had this vision before we went up there. That's right. And anyway, she saw, and she never even told me this. I just found this out not too long ago, but she saw two men walking. And they were dressed in robes. One had a burgundy color robe. The other had a brown robe. And they had tassels around the bottom of their robes. And I think she said they had gray hair and staffs. But they walked through this archway. And they were heading up past the Covenant Stone, up that path up to Hidden Mountain. And the one with the darker robe looked back at her and was looking at her intensely into her eyes at her. And she said they were easily walking up that hill like it was nothing, like there was no effort at all. And if you go there, you'll see it is hard to maneuver around all them big rocks and all them little rocks and stuff. It's not an easy trip at all. But they were maneuvering it very easily somehow. But anyways, I broke the vision when I told her me and my grandson was going metal detecting up on top of the rock. And so she feels that this has some type of connection to that gold glowing box in that tree and a couple orbs or whatever you want to call them that sort of resembled little faint clouds. When you look at them closer, they look like some type of spiritual beings or messengers. And she feels that those were them. And right before we were already decided that we were going to leave. It was time to go. It was like over 100 degrees, man. And I had to get them kids out of there and her. And so we had decided we'd seen enough and we were going to go. And I was feeling very reluctant because I'm a very adventurous and spontaneous person. And so I kept looking up that path to Hidden Mountain, and the urge to go up there was overwhelming me. And it was almost like the mountain was calling me to come up there. Come up here. Don't leave. Come up here. I got more to show you, more to reveal to you. And I knew I couldn't because I couldn't leave my family, and I couldn't take them with me because I don't think my wife could have made it up there, and it would have been really hard on the kids too. So reluctantly, I turned around and left, and we went back to the car. But she feels that these messengers that she saw in this vision were the ones calling me to come up there. They wanted to show me something. And she feels that little orange, or that little gold light box was something they left there for me. And I didn't know it was even there. maybe even since we never seen it before, it was never in any of the photos ever, except until yesterday, as far as we know. It was like an invitation to come back, is what she was thinking. And so anyway, I don't want to go through the whole story, but she feels that these things that look like clouds were those messengers leaving after we turned around and started walking away, and that they went back to their dimension or wherever it is they came from. And here it is. So I'll blow it up just a little bit for you if I can. I think I can. There we go. So if you look close, this one here is pretty easy to see. This thing's got wings. You see the wings? And you see that round dot right there? That's his head. You see his round head and the wings on him and his body coming down. And this one here is farther away and you can't hardly make it out, but you can see that there's some wings on this and there's a round head right there. She feels these were the two messengers that were leaving that when we left. They'll blow it up just a little bit more for you there. You can see it starts getting fuzzy, but right about there's probably the best shot at it right there. There was no other clouds in the sky here for people. We looked through all the pictures. There were the only clouds in the pictures were far off, like 20, 30 miles away on the horizon, down real low, close to the horizon. There was no clouds up in the sky. None. In any of the photos. And I don't remember any clouds at all anyway. But there were some about 20, 30 miles away near the horizon. Other than that, this was the only two, if you want to call them clouds, that were around. Whatever they are. I don't know what they are. But they sure do look like they got wings. Right here. And a head for sure. Anyway. Just a thought. So anyway, Yahuwah, he kind of amazing here. Anyway, he says he will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. So when a storm comes, okay, a hen, a chicken, a female chicken, fluffs up her wings and calls out to her chicks, little chickadees, calls out for them to come to her and saying, "Come to me, I'll keep you warm, I'll protect you, come under my wings." And then she hides them under her wings. So Yahuwah uses the same scenario in scriptures. I mean, no wonder Yahuwah has used that scene many times in scriptures to describe his own desires to keep us near him, under his protection, under his wings, under his protective wings. So if we take a closer look at what Yahuwah's wings can do, and what it really means in the Hebrew mindset for each of us to come under Yahuwah's wings, we get really intense enlightenment. So wings of majesty, splendor, and light. So the Hebrew word for wings of a bird or a messenger is kanaf. So this word also means the corners of a garment as well. And these corners, these what they call tzitzits or tassels, put on these four corners of the garment. Sometimes these garments in the wind would start to flap in the wind. and it would give the garment the appearance of wings. And when we use the word, we see this word used when Yahuwah tells the Israelites in the wilderness in Numbers 15:38 and Deuteronomy 22:12. He says, throughout the generations to come, you are to make tassels or tzitzits on the four corners, the kanaf of your garments, with the blue cord on each tassel. So the tassels were meant to continually remind the Yehudim or people of the commandments and or tend to bar them or the word of Yahuwah. So during these earlier times, these Yehudim men wore a gown or a cloak. It was like a full talit, okay, which was rectangular, and on the corners there was tzitzits, and it kind of looks somewhat like a blanket, okay, draped over them. And after the exile, the Babylonian exile, the Yehudim lived with their Gentile neighbors in these foreign lands. They didn't all come back. Only a small percentage did after the exile. Most of them lived among their Gentile neighbors, mixed in with them and intermarried. And so they adopted their clothing as well. And a lot of their traditions, they even celebrate the New Year's in the fall, which is coming up soon. In the Day of Trumpets, they celebrate New Year's. From this, just a pagan custom, okay, from one of the Gentile nations. They adopted a lot of stuff from them. Okay, so the clothing, they even started wearing, instead of wearing the full talit, if you were, or gown, whatever, they started wearing pants and shirts like the Gentiles did. But under their shirt, the Yehudim men would wear a rectangular undershirt or like a t-shirt type thing, and they would call it a mini talit, and they still do. And that has tzitzits on it, or fringes, if you will, representing Yahuwah's commands, as it always has. And so they didn't totally change the clothing, but they hid it, basically. Okay, so the talit katan, or the small shawl, is like an undershirt with tzitzits on it. And it's always usually worn under contemporary clothes, in order to fulfill the command to wear the tzitzits on the four corners of your garments. And so during prayer, men cover themselves with a prayer shawl, which has the tzitzits. But there's more spiritual significance to wearing this garment than just remembering the mitzvot or the commandments. In the Hebrew mindset, the men would wrap themselves under the covering of their prayer shawl, with the tzitzits on the four corners, symbolizing that they were wrapping themselves under the wings of Yahuwah's majesty, splendor, and light. So while some inspect their zitzits as they prepare to cover themselves with these talit or prayer shawls, they recite a blessing that reminds them of how Yahuwah wraps himself in his own majesty and splendor and light. They recite Psalms 104, 1 and 2, when they pray, as they're wrapping themselves in their talits with the zitzits on four corners. And they pray Psalms 104, 1 and 2, which we read earlier, but I'll go ahead and read it again. I love it, so I will read it again. Bless Yahuwah my being, Yahuwah my Elohim. You have been very great. You have put on excellency and splendor, covering yourself with light as with a robe, stretching out the Shemaim like a curtain. Who was laying the beams of his upper rooms in the man? Who was making thick clouds his chariot? Who was walking on the wings of the wind, making his messengers the winds, his servants a flame of fire? He established the Eretz on its foundations so that it would not totter forever. You covered it with the deep as with a robe. The Mayim stood above the mountains. At your rebuke, they flee. At the voice of your thunder, they hurry away. I love that Psalms. So as the men, the Yehuda men, then would wrap themselves in this light or the esteem of Yahuwah's garment, he symbolically comes under Yahuwah's supernatural force field, a spiritual and physical place of refuge, just like the wings of an eagle. This is the symbolism of them doing this, in case you ever was wondering. You see it even in our time. You see these men over there wearing their prayer shawls, these talits, especially when they're at the Western Wall over there, praying at the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. You see it quite a bit. So under his wings we find refuge. That's what the scripture says. Does Yahuwah have wings? Probably. He can be anything he wants to be. If he wants to have wings, I'm pretty sure he can have them. I'm not going to limit Yahuwah or define him or restrict him or box him in, or I ain't going to do none of that. I got to keep an open mind when it comes to Yahuwah, man. So when the prayer shawl covers the man's whole being, it forms this special kind of prayer closet where he can focus his prayers, his praise, and his worship on Yahuwah of Yisrael. This also reminds these people who are our big brother, by the way, and we should have some respect for them. Okay, I mean, pointing to them, pointing to the Christians, pointing to the Muslims, all that is something we shouldn't do, should we? Isn't that the lesson that Yahuwah taught Peter? Basically, if you're going to be my priest, if you're going to be the kings of the mankind over mankind and represent me as kings of the King of Kings and represent me as my priest because I'm the high priest, then you got to lose all your biasness. You have to learn to love everybody. And that's the challenge, isn't it? And sometimes when we begin to learn about other people and what they're doing, then it's not so weird. It's not so scary. It's not so against what we believe, that sometimes we see that it's very similar to what we believe once we begin to understand them. So it also reminds the men of the covering Yahuwah provides to those who call on his name. So as the shawl is first placed over the head, they recite this blessing in Psalms 36. It says, "How precious is your kindness, O Elohim. The children of men take refuge in the shadow of your wings." Kanaf. Let's look at it. We look at Psalms 36 for the full blessing. They're not so weird after all, are they? Let's go look at it. Psalms 36. And if you hate them and ridicule them because of the things they do, are you not hating your brother? Yeah, you are. Look at Psalms 36, 6 through 12 for the full blessing. Your righteousness is like the mighty mountains. Your right rulings are a great deep, Yahuwah. You save man and beast. How precious is your kindness, Elohim. Yeah, picking up what he's laying down here. You save man and beast. He can save the beast too? Huh. That's something to think about, isn't it? How precious is your kindness, Elohim. And the sons of men take refuge in the shadow of your wings. They are filled from the fatness of your house, and you give them drink from the river of your pleasures. For with you is the fountain of life. In your light we see light. Draw out your kindness to those who know you, and your righteousness to the upright in heart. Let not the foot of pride come against me, and the hand of the wrong drive me away. There the workers of wickedness have fallen. They have been overthrown and have been unable to rise. Wow, that's a powerful blessing there, man. Powerful stuff. Hope y'all are picking up what Scripture's laying down tonight. We got to get this light thing, man. For with you is the fountain of life. In your light, we see light. The light's the fountain of life, man. The light goes out, you're gone. So Yahuwah's refuge is for everyone, no matter how meek or how powerful. King Daud was undoubtedly the most powerful man in Israel in his time, and yet he often wrote of his need to flee to Yahuwah as his refuge. When it seemed that King Daud when he was at his lowest point in life, some of his lowest points in life, he wrote Psalms 61. Look at Psalm 61. Well, King Daud wrote at one of the lowest points in his life. Hear my cry, O Elohim. Listen to my prayer. From the end of the Eretz I call to you. When my heart is faint, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. So lead me to the name that's higher than I. He was the most powerful man in Israel. See that? For you have been my refuge, a strong tower in the face of the enemy. Let me dwell in your tent forever. Let me take refuge in the shelter of your wings. There it is. Shelter of your wings. Salah. For you, O Elohim, have heard my vows. You have given me the inheritance of those who fear your name. You add Yamam to the Yamam of the sovereign, his years as many generations. Let him dwell forever before Elohim. Prepare kindness and truth to preserve him. So I sing praise to your name forever when I pay my vows, Yam by Yam. Wow. So when you start feeling that Yahuwah is far away and you're all alone, just imagine wrapping yourself with Yahuwah's light, with Yahuwah's majesty, with Yahuwah's esteem, with his splendor, with his power, as though you were dwelling with him in his sanctuary, under his warm, protective wings. This is what King Daud did. And it's what you should do as well. The psalmist says that those who take refuge in Yahuwah are blessed. Psalms 2:12. They receive his great goodness and are delivered from their foes. It says they will rejoice. Isaiah even says they will inherit the land in Isaiah 57:13. So all these blessings were certainly bestowed on a foreign widow named Ruth, who left the false gods of her homeland in Moab and went to Bethlehem with her Yehudah mother-in-law named Naomi. There she met a wealthy man named Boaz. And Boaz saw her loyalty, her love, her gentleness, and her dedication to the Elohim of Yisrael, as well as to her mother-in-law, Naomi. Ruth 2:12 says, "May Yahuwah repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yisrael, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." As time progressed, Ruth went to meet Boaz, to spread the wing of his garment over her, symbolically asking him to cover her with his protection and authority as her husband. So then we can see it's a beautiful phrase, a loving phrase that Yahuwah himself used to describe his covenant relationship as the husband to Yisrael. In Ezekiel 16:8, listen to it. "Later I passed by, and when I looked at you and saw that you were old enough for love, I spread the corner of my garment over you, the wing, and covered your naked body. I gave you my solemn oath and entered into a covenant with you, declares the sovereign Yahuwah, and you became mine." Wow. So much love in that passage, isn't there? So upon marrying Ruth, Boaz entered into a covenant with her, in which he provided for and protected her. And they became the great grandparents of King Daud. And from his lineage came Yahushua HaMashiach, the Messiah, was born. But Yahuwah's garment, his wings, is so expansive, it fills the earth. And he is inviting each and every one of us to come under it and be his bride. When we do, we come under his love, his protection, his authority, and his majesty, and his light. So under Yahuwah's wings, we come under his authority. Al Shaddai, Almighty Elohim, is the one whose great wings carried his people out of Egypt. Exodus 19:4 says, "You yourselves have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself." So after carrying his people to safety, Yahuwah then gathered them to the base of Mount Sinai and put them under his wings of authority, which is his Torah instructions, and his reign as their king. But this wasn't a one-sided arrangement, folks. Yahuwah protected, provided, and nurtured the Israelites because he had great plans for them as his treasured possessions. He further said to the Israelites in Exodus 19:5 and 6, "Now, if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all the nations you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a set-apart nation." So coming under the authority of Yahuwah meant obeying his Torah, his instructions, so that they would become spokespeople or prophets for his kingdom. By showing the pagan nations how Yahuwah wants people to live, they will become priests of his set-apart nation, answering to him and him alone as the high priest. Through these people came forth the word of Yahuwah, the first and the second covenant, as well as Yahushua HaMashiach, instructing and blessing all the nations of the world. So in our era today, all the people who come under the authority of Yahuwah, whether you be a Yehudah from Ephraim, a Gentile, or whatever, you come under the authority of Yahuwah. You are his spokespeople, his priests. Look what Peter had to say about it. 1 Peter 2:9. Peter said, "You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a set-apart nation, Yahuwah's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of the darkness into his marvelous light." Wow. So you become children of light under the authority of the Father of lights. So under the healing wings of the Mashiach, we find a beautiful messianic prophecy in the very last chapter of the Tanakh. about the Son of Righteousness rising with healing in its wings, the kanaf, Malachi 4:2. So by completely covering us with his healing wings, Yahusha, which means I am your deliverer, provides healing for our beings by forgiving our sins and giving us a good conscience, which places us directly under his wings for eternity. For eternity. As a sign of his divine authority is the Mashiach, Yahushua healed multitudes of people, including some who reached out and just barely touching the corner, the kanaf of his garment. In Matthew chapter 9, we read about a woman who, after 12 years of bleeding, diligently sought after Yahusha in a crowd, a throng of people. She leaned and pushed and shoved herself through the crowd of people that was all around Yahusha, and she touched the tassel on the kanaf of his garment and was instantly healed of her bleeding ailment. But this woman was not alone. This was not the only incident of this type in Scripture. It's probably why she did it. She probably heard of others doing it and were healed. That's probably why it was giving her her motivation and her drive to get to him through that crowd. If she could just barely touch just the tip of one of those tzitzits, she knew she would be healed. Listen to this, Matthew 14. When Yahushua crossed the Sea of Galilee to a town on the western shore called Gennesaret, the people sent word through the region and brought all who were sick to him. See, so the word was going out all over the place. So no doubt this woman heard about it. They begged him that they might touch even the corner of his garment, the fringes. And all who touched it were healed. And all who touched it were healed. Here's these great multitudes of people coming just to touch his garment, just to touch him anywhere, even the very corner of his tzitzit, the very tip of that tzitzit, that tassel, and they were healed. I'm sure they were touching him everywhere. They weren't just aiming for the tzitzit. If that's all they could get, they'd take it and they were healed. Though the crowds were willing to be healed physically by Yahusha, none of them wanted to hear his message about the reign of Yahuwah, about repenting. They just wanted to be healed. And so Yahusha wept. Yahusha wept over these people because all they wanted was their bellies filled, their bodies healed, and provision and wealth. They didn't want to hear his message. They didn't care why he came. They just wanted whatever they wanted for themselves. So Yahusha wept over them. As Yahusha wept, and he looked toward the city of Jerusalem that Yahuwah called his very own, said that he would Write his name there. And we live there forever. And Yahusha, with tears in his eyes, weeping, said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who kill the prophets and stone those sent to you. How often I have longed to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings. And you were not willing, said Yahushua. That's Luke 13:34. Sad, isn't it? Sad. Sadly, many were not willing to accept Yahushua, even as their sin offering, even as the Son was given as a sacrifice for their sins. They were not willing to accept him. They were not willing to accept the Lamb of Yahuwah, who takes away the sins of the world. Sad, man. So sad. Why? Because they did not choose Yahusha as their Mashiach. Some say that Yahuwah has folded his wings to these stiff-necked people, the Yehudim, and opened his wings to the nations, to the Christians, to the Gentiles. But that is not true. That's a lie from the devil himself. The truth is, folks, Yahuwah's wings are forever open to everyone, Yehudim and Gentile alike. All those, male and female, young, old, fat, skinny, ugly, pretty, strong, weak, black, white, yellow, brown, red, purple, green. Everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah will be delivered. Anyone who comes seeking him will find him. Look, Yahuwah has been shouting. He has been screaming. He has been weeping, trying to get your attention. He's even revealed himself so you could clearly see him in Yahushua HaMashiach. And he has been begging and crying and asking for you to come to him and repent for nearly 2,000 years now. 2,000 years through scriptures, as well as through his Ruach HaKodesh, nudging you, whispering to in your ear, turn around. Stop sinning. Start obeying me. Repent. Even in dreams, he comes to you. In visions as well. And by sending his chosen, his election out among the masses to witness to them about his love for them. And the punishment for disobeying him and hating him, warning them and calling to them. For 2,000 years. nearly 2,000 years now. It's almost over. He's going to stop. The door's going to shut. Lights are going to be turned out. When that light's out, and there's no more light, there's no more life, because life is in the light. Go to the light. Seek the light while you can, before lights go out. At this point, the Great Awakening that happened in 2008 has been bringing many, many people to Yahuwah. People all over the world are waking up. Even the Yehudim are beginning to wake up now. Problem is, they're heavily influenced by Christianity, and they don't know the truth. They call the Messiah Yeshua instead of Yahusha. But it's better than the J, man. It is acceptable. Maybe not desirable by his chosen, but it is acceptable to call him Yeshua, which is just a common word. It's a common Hebrew word. It means save or save. Saved. That's it. Until it's labeled, if somebody gets it for a name, then it becomes a proper noun, doesn't it? You can name somebody cornbread. You know, cornbread's just a common name for a type of bread. But if you name somebody cornbread, then their name is cornbread. That becomes a proper noun. So today there's about an estimate of about 350,000 to 500,000 Yehudim worldwide who are believing in the Messiah. And that's an astounding number, believe it or not. For those who only have the Tanakh, they don't even have the Nazarene writings. They're not even taught about him. So it's really a quite a large number, considering everything. But they're under the heavy influence of Christianity. And even in their scripture books, they have G-O-D and L-O-R-D. They use the same devices as the Christians do because they don't know. But at least they're woke up to they have a Messiah. And as long as they're calling him Yeshua, you know, it's okay, because that's why they're being converted. There's no way that you can convert them with the J, man. They're not stupid people. They know that's a Greek name, and there's no way that their Hebrew Messiah can have a Greek name, and they know that. Especially, they know that Jesus means either Hail Zeus or son of Zeus in Greek. So they're not going to come running to that name. They're not stupid. But Yeshua can get their attention. So it's okay. It's acceptable. But not preferred, for sure. Revelations 3:20 says, listen, I am standing at the door, knocking. Yahusha says, if you hear my voice and open the door, I will come into you and eat with you and you with me. Yahusha's the door. You need to know when he's coming back, even when he's at the door knocking. So get busy learning about him, about Yahuwah. Read the scriptures, read the Revelation, read Daniel, read Psalms. Find out as much as you can about when he's coming back. Read Matthew 24. Seek the light. Yahuwah is light, and those who come to Yahuwah must come to the light. Without the light, there's no life. Lights go out, it's all over. It's all she wrote. All right. Well, I think we've been on here long enough, don't you? Been on for 3 hours, 30 minutes now. So if you're interested, go over there to Lou White's YouTube channel and watch those 2 films. And look up light in your scriptures. You'll find there's over 200 references to light, but there's a lot of references to Yahuwah being light and Yahusha being light as well. And there's over 30 references of lightning. That lightning is what announces the presence of Yahuwah. It's the sign of his return. As the lightning comes from the east to the west, so will the Son of Man come. In the Hebrew mindset, that means it's a total circle around the globe and there's no end. It goes forever. So watch for a mega flash that shatters the world record. World record right now is 530 feet. 535 miles in 7.3 seconds it lasted. From Texas to Kansas. And the second place is 495 miles, I think, and 17 and a half seconds it lasted. So that second place holds the record for how long the mega flash lasted. But those are very impressive world records. But it's going to be nothing like the sign of Adam, the sign of the Son of Man. It's going to shatter them like they're not even there. So lightning announces the presence of Yahuwah. He commands. All the natural phenomena are at his command. Next time you're in a lightning storm, think about Yahuwah, because it's announcing his presence. There's no doubt. Zero doubt. Okay? That light accompanies Yahuwah, for sure. And lightning announces his presence. Read it yourself. Dig into the scriptures. Find truth. Stop listening to the people that are lying to you, teaching you falsehood and religions and traditions. The Hebrew had to overcome them. Man, you don't understand the prejudice, the bias, the hatred between the Yehudim and the Goyim in the first century. That Yahushua himself was brought up in, and had to overcome as an example to his Talmudim and his followers. And they had to learn likewise. If they were going to be kings and priests of Yahuwah, they had to learn to love them rather than hate them. They had to learn to talk to them rather than repel them and be silent. So that's our example. We have to overcome. The Nazarene have to overcome all that. We have to rise above that. We have to walk in the light. We have to see people out of the eyes of Yahuwah, not out of the eyes of our fleshly evil eye, our dark eye. We have to get light in our eyes, man. Matter of fact, you better open up your mouth wide and let that light come in there and immerse you. Get immersed in light. Let his light shine out of you like a beacon to the world. Here I am. Come to me, all you weak, crippled, brokenhearted. Come to me. Seek my face. Repent. Come back to me. And I'll gather you under my wings like an eagle. And I'll protect you. I'll provide for you. And I'll give you authority over the principalities of darkness and over demons and over diseases. You'll go out into the world under my authority. Under what authority do you say these things? I come to you in the name of Yahusha of Nazareth. All right, y'all. I'm done. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for everybody in the chat room, being in there, showing love to each other and chatting up a storm and being nice to everybody. And thank you for everybody incognito, my incognito group. I don't know what I'd do without y'all. And over here to thank you, Speedy, for being here and being patient and listening and being a good boy. And when I go to bed tonight, I better not catch you eating pork chops or mice. I got to get him off them pork chops and mice, man. I just don't know what to do. If you guys any ideas how to get Speedy to stop eating that stuff, let me know. So we'll be here tomorrow. We have the Nazarene Assembly tomorrow. We call it the Scripture Study Group. The Nazarene will assemble, and we will study the words of truth, scriptures of truth. And we're in the Torah. We started last week with Genesis. So, yeah, join us. It's very, very powerful stuff. We're learning a lot of ideas, a lot of spiritual insight going on, a lot of secrets of Yahuwah being revealed. And so don't miss out, man. Come join us. What else are you doing on Yom Shabbat? Hiding under your bed? Hiding under your blankets all day? Get up. Seek out the face of Yahuwah. Join his election. Join his Nazarene. Come to the light. Be in the light. So everybody's welcome. If you've never been there, you sure need to come and check it out. Everybody's welcome. Everybody. Okay. All righty then. We assemble at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right here on the same exact channel. Spark in you is Yah. The spark in you is Yah. Ooh, the light in you is Yah. Ooh, spark, light, get it? Woo. Wow. What a revelation that was. Anyway, same channels and different time, though. We're on here at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon time, lunchtime, on the East Coast. 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. here in Texas, for all you cowboys and cowgirls out there, it'll be 11 o'clock a.m. And for all you cowboys out there in Arizona and cowgirls, be 10 o'clock a.m. And if you're way out yonder on the West Coast, California and Oregon and Washington State, you got it right. You better get up early and have your breakfast because we're going to be here at 9 o'clock a.m. your time. So be here or be square. And remember to stay in love with Yahushua HaMashiach. So long, Netzarim, beloved of Yahuwah. So long, everyone. See you next week or see you tomorrow. Your choice. Peace, joy, and love to everyone. So long, folks. What's that, Speedy? Oh, Speedy says he learned something tonight. Woo! I can get off here and find out what he learned. So long, folks.